Alrighty, getting set up here for the morning to do some work on this flatbed build that we built a few months back. And I was like, you know what, I'm gonna show what we're doing to this unit, because there's so many folks who don't show this kind of stuff. You know, the after the fact, after a unit is built, what are the critiques and the tweaks that needed to happen to that unit in order to make it, get it dialed in and get it working just right. This thing's brand new. You know, this is up on the channel, right? You know, I did a few videos on this as we were building it, but you know, stuff like this. Why is that happening? It needs to be fixed. It needs to be taken care of. And there's a few other items. You know, some of the items are things that, you know, we as a manufacturer should take care of, and other things are, you know, little minor upgrades that the customer wanted. So I just kind of want to show that, you know, process and kind of go over what we're gonna do to it, so you guys can see in full transparency how this stuff actually works. So let's get this stuff moved around. Once I have all this stuff moved around, we'll run over there, park it, and then go over the list of stuff we're going to do. All right, the usual morning stuff. Nicholas isn't here, so now I'm moving all this stuff around. That's okay. I guess every now and then he can go fishing, take some time off. The joys of operating in a small yard. Musical campers. Oh well, so things go. So they go. About good. All kinds of stuff coming out of this little shop. Look at all this stuff. You know, every now and then as you're going, you know, it's just normal. You're just building. You're just doing this work. And then you start moving all this stuff and working with everything, and you're like, you know what? We're building all kinds of stuff. That one there is going on a Ram power wagon. So that'll be a cool one to show on the truck. So I'll do a walkthrough video on that probably tomorrow or something. Okay, we got a spot for it. Let's get it over there and walk through all these things that need to be improved. Man, I like this pickup. It's a nice one. Real nice. Look at this. He's done a good job keeping it tip top. Always gotta wonder the accuracy of these cameras, you know. Looks pretty good. Okay, let's go over it. As you know, we're building these things here in Alaska. We've been manufacturing up here in this state since 1971, doing custom manufacturing, you know, building all this stuff, you know, toppers, sliding campers. We recently developed this about 4 years ago, after all of the custom, you know, stuff, after all of these builds and the most common things that people have been asking us for. We went ahead and built that camper, which is or developed this camper, and that's like a dry camper, right? There's nothing in it. Well, I shouldn't say nothing. It's very dialed and developed. You know, this is really basically a specialty camper for those who know specifically what they do and do not want. So we can get into these. We got stuff on this, but this is a contrast. I show you this because if you haven't seen, you know, what we do in the stuff on the channel, then, you know, this might not have as much of a, I don't know, contrast, I think would be the right way to put that, of the range of what we're doing here in building. So from dry, simple, to basically, you know, a little bit of everything on a build like this one, right? where this one's dialed in. It's completely a 4-season camper that's got full water system and everything in it. So right here, you can see these steps. We had to get out past here. You know, this is a MORryde step system. This might actually be a Lippert. I think it's a Lippert. It's a great step, awesome step. But we had to custom fabricate this here bracket. So we went ahead and built, this bracket is all us, right? From here up, that's our bracket. So that we could get out past this, channel here. So, or rail. So what's happening is it's coming down, it sets out a little bit further, and so the door is having challenges properly sealing and closing, right? Because again, it sets out a little bit further than it typically would, and so we got the weather strip behind there. Well, as this comes down, right, it kind of pushes that weather strip off, and so we need to improve that. Next, and let's see if I can remember the stuff this morning along the entire list without looking at the paperwork. But like this right here, as we're building, let's go into the bathroom here, get some lights on. Anyway, going into the bathroom here, there was very simple stuff that we missed. And guys, I'm sharing you the back end of what things actually look like when you don't necessarily, when you're like the things that you miss. You know, a lot of folks out there, there's just kind of this idea, you know, that like Instagram, or, you know, nothing against Instagram obviously, but everything's perfect and it's just, you know, a perfect build. It gets built and then there's no flaws, no critiques, no edits. That's not the case. Every one of these campers needs an edit or a critique, especially when it's being custom built. Those there need a whole lot less of those critiques and edits just because it's dialed in. Whereas a custom build like this, again, you can see this is a flatbed, it's going to need a critique or two. Still an absolutely awesome camper, but it still needs its critiques. We missed putting a toilet paper holder in there, right? And then through basic miscommunication, we needed a vanity in here, right? So that they could store some basic items. Well, we didn't get one in here for them. So the bathroom is nice, but it doesn't have those basic, what I would say, you know, you built an awesome bathroom that according to design and everything is tick all the boxes, but as far as the function for the end user, if it doesn't even have this, or doesn't even have a vanity or something like that, you might look at it as not such a great bathroom. Those types of things are important. Next, you can see that this is really tight, this wall's, so that's why the vanity couldn't be inset, which is what we typically do, and so it's a delete, which is a wrong design decision, right? So we're gonna go ahead and get them a cabinet in here. It'll step off the wall a little bit, but it's still in that dead zone for being on the toilet here and then standing in here. There's nothing at all wrong with it stepping out a little. And then water buildup in here, we got to make sure that it's properly draining, because every pickup truck slants forward, right? And we got our drain here, so we don't want all that water building up improperly in here. And you know, we'll be able to, like, it's coming in here and pooling, right? And so we're going to try to address that. And I'm showing you the good, bad, and ugly, right? You've seen this entire camper. You get your warm and fuzzies going, saying, oh, okay, this is a really great camper on those other videos. But the truth is, and it is a good camper, it just, you know, you have to dial in your campers like this. You got to dial in your builds to make them high function. And that's where we spend a lot of time in our builds, so that, you know, once you get to developing, you know, a product, you're in tune, right? You're not just slapping these things together without a lot of thought. And then we're very willing to critique and edit them to make sure that they're a really good final product for the end user and very functional. Okay, so next thing, originally we designed in, let's get in here. Again, we've gone over this electrical system and everything in other videos, but originally we designed in a switch system for his inverter so that he couldn't overload it, or so that he could just shut off his inverter his solar Starlink when he is, you know, at night. He can just click the sucker off when he's not using it. That way it doesn't draw down. Well, he's got an older Starlink, and then now he just bought a Starlink Mini, and that thing sips power. And so now it's really not a problem. And so this functionality here really didn't work out great for him. And so we're just going to delete the switch. Right? We're going to get rid of that entirely. No more switch. Then he's up here, right? He wants his coffee pot and everything in here. Well, we're going to get this inverter, this outlet on the inverter for him. And it's stuff like this where, you know, you don't want to overload an inverter because it's just a 2000 watt inverter and get too many outlets on it. But at the same time, the outlets that are on the inverter, they need to be functional, right? They need to be in functional areas. And this, you know, we got an inverter outlet down there for him and a converter outlet over there. That way he always has capability here in the dinette, and that works out good. But when he wants to run something simple up here in the morning, he doesn't have a spot, you know, to run it without going out and firing up the generator. I think that's a coffee pot or something that he's running. And the inverter and battery bank can handle it just fine, but, you know. Anyway, yeah, so we're going to go ahead and get this one on the inverter. Next, a table here. It's good, you know, but it's a little bit wobbly. And they spend a lot of time at their table. It's a little wobbly there, right? The Lagoon table system is awesome. That's what we've used in many of our campers. The problem with it is just the basic geometry of it, and then these adjustable knobs right here, these you know, these pivot brackets, pivot points, they have a little bit of slop. And so if you have a table that is this large, let's see the size of this table, 37 by 29. When you get a table this large, it's too big for the Lagoon system. It just flat is. And, you know, I've gone around and around on it, you know, many times trying to make it to where that bracket's going to work with a bigger table. And in this case, like you see in the video that we did, the walkthrough of this, you see this whole setup. We're talking about putting the leg on there so it's nice and solid. And it is good and solid, you know, but this right here, he spends a tremendous amount of his time at the table just with what he does, like how he likes to spend his time. And, you know, in their terms, they're very heavy table users, right? So we're going to go ahead and build a unique bracket for this system. And they only really use the table, you know, every couple of years they turn it into a bed. And so we're going to go ahead and make a steel bracket here. I've got a design in my head here that I think is going to work well. And so we're going to go ahead and execute on that. And I'll show you at the end of the video here. I'll put it all together. I'm not going to do the whole separating these videos. I'll put all of these solutions at the end of this video. But yeah, we're going to go ahead and do that. And we're going to delete this. And we're going to see if what we execute on here is actually going to be a real solution. I think it will be. And it'll end up being steel. And it will have bolts here or removable knobs so that he can take it off still and make it into a table without tools. But for now, it's just going to be bolted. But yeah, we're gonna address this one. This one's going to be a neat solution. But yeah, other than that, I think that's pretty much it on this unit. You know, there's not really much other than that. Oh, we got to get a fire extinguisher in here for him. We're going to pop one right here on that cabinet. But yeah, there you go, guys. That's this. The upgrades and the critiques and tweaks on this build. There might be. Oh, that's right. He wanted this shunt installed for him. This is what he has on all his boats. Some customers love Victron. Others don't. For me, as a manufacturer, I think this is an exceptional product. It's really good, but oftentimes it's a little bit too complicated for the average camper setup. Now, for a build like this, where you're going to be in it quite a bit, it's very awesome to be able to see all amps in, all amps out. Very nice. And so we're going to set this up for him. And, oh, speaking of the batteries, that's the other thing. We are going to add another battery in here for him. We're going to add another battery in here, right there. We anticipated that we would likely need one, and so we're going to go ahead and put one in. He just wants a little bit extra, storage capacity there. And so we're going to go ahead and make sure this gets wired into that whole system there. So, yeah, that's the stuff, guys. That's the stuff. Just this normal. This is what happens with custom manufacturing. There is you come up with a build, a beautiful design, just an absolutely awesome setup. But then, after you use it 2, 3, 4 times, there is dialing in critiques that need to be made, and it's just how things go. Things that, like I tell my customers, there's going to be things on me that I really should take care of and improve, and then there's going to be things that on your list are kind of wish list items and say, oh, you know what, let's add this. This is an upgrade I like. And that's just a normal piece of the entire process. And that's how it should be. And, that's what oftentimes, RV owners and camper owners or buyers don't get, in the market. They just go to a dealer and what they get is what they get, and after that they got to go find the various companies that are going to help them upgrade or critique and tweak. If not, do it on their own. So that's the process, guys. We're going to go through and we're going to show you these upgrades, and I will stop talking for now and just get to work, and then when I'm done I will show you what we did. All right. Okay, now we're done here. And when I say, show you what I did, what I really mean is show you what everyone else did. So, maybe I did a little bit in here, but mostly it was the rest of the crew. So these guys are done doing all of these tweaks and critiques and upgrades. And so now let's go over them and look and see. So they went ahead and got this outlet on the inverter. This is now bypassed. Right here, right? Everything's direct wired. Then, right here, you've got the batteries. There we go. So, we found it unnecessary to come in here and bond these all in. The amount of efficiency we're picking up is nominal for this particular battery tech. So, this is how we decided to go ahead and do the typical daisy chain. No big deal for this battery tech, and we're plenty good on the gauging and everything in here. So, but we did go ahead and add in his shunt here. This is the right way to wire in a shunt, right? All grounds in, all grounds out. Just how it is. And then everything else comes off of your bus bars, right? Grounds and everything are still here. So he is going to be able to get into this now and be able to read where he's at on his voltage. So that's all done there. One thing I forgot to mention in the video, or in the first part of the video here, is he wanted a nice stationary window so that when he is sitting here, it's unobstructed with no screen or no post in the middle, and he just relies on these side windows for the cross ventilation. So that's really nice, being able to look out without obstruction. He wanted that to be a clear, untinted window, but sourcing that was quite a challenge. So that's what we got there. All right, the table system. Look at this. I am quite happy with this table. I'm not gonna lie. Now he doesn't take this down, tear it down and set it up every single day, and so he didn't need a really fast, easy way to do that like the Lagoon system offers. So we went overkill with the screws there, if you didn't notice. We don't have any knobs, but this was designed to be able to put knobs here to make it easier to take off. But for him, he carries a tool set with him, and so he said he'll just zip this off. But check out that table bracket. Everything's nice and clear and open, and that sucker is solid. Very solid. He doesn't get the movement, right? The nice movement back and forth like with the Lagoon, but you can still get in here just fine, nice and easy, and sit there, Table is set at 30 inches high, 30 and a half, which is what your typical table height is. And that just, man, that works. Real nice right there. I am very pleased with that setup. You know, that's a design that's been popping around in my head for a minute or three. And, you know, it just doesn't apply to every camper. And so it's like, well, you know, that'll work. That'll work out. And so he decided he wanted to go ahead and go with that because he didn't want any obstructions here like the old post and pedestal style or any of the legs. And so we deleted all that. And that is solid, real solid. Having a hard time getting it to flex. But, yeah. Nate executed on that. Followed the pattern and everything. And absolutely beautiful. Very nice. Looks clean. So there you go. There's the table. And then in here, let's see if... Make sure we got our fire extinguisher. Got our fire extinguisher in there. Very nice. In the shower. Got the vanity in there. And the TP holder. Boom. Look at that. Nice and clean. Very nice. Simple stuff, guys. Now there's something with water at the floor level here that we're going to have to work out. I originally designed this unit to have a nice bamboo floor where it steps up to where the water can drain easily into the drain without filling the tub portion here. And guys, this is kind of advice for you if you're doing your own build. You know, you want it to drain. You don't want something like this where it stops the water and then fills up, you know, and stands in here before it drains. And then also, the drain is at the back here. And it would have been better if it was at the front, but we had some design conflicts and challenges down inside here when we were doing this, to where it was difficult to get the drain in the front. And then on top of that, with a pickup truck, the truck is leaned forward, sloped forward, and so the water is building up in that corner. So, you know, the good, bad, and the ugly, I'm sharing it with you. That could have been done better, but we're gonna work on the bamboo floor to where it steps it up to where the water can actually drain, instead of having the mat in there. And then, yeah, he'll just need to, whenever he's ready to take a shower, he will need to make sure the camper's leveled out. Simple stuff. And I suppose you need to do that just about in any build, is make sure you're sitting level. You should anyway for the fridge and everything. But yeah, did I miss anything? You'll have to let me know if I missed anything. Yeah, little Yukon. Thing's nice. Very nice. Those things are sweet. Nice little shell. That's going on in Colorado. Anyway, right here. This thing. These stairs. We changed the weather strip. We got the weather strip on the back so you can see that it's sealing here on the back so the mosquitoes aren't coming in. And then changed the weather strip on the bottom here to where it's thinner, to where they're making good contact when the door is closed. But guys, there you go. That is the set of critiques and tweaks that we did to this camper. Again, the custom build process. This is how it goes. You know, you're gonna need to go through that to dial in any camper. You know, the world isn't perfect to where every single little thing is just perfect the first time. You know, you gotta tweak and dial. But you know, those are minor tweaks for a camper of this nature. I would say, probably argue that just about every camper, I don't care what the manufacturer is going to have a cork or three like that you go and you buy it. Shoot, we get $150,000, $200,000 plus, you know, units in here all the time. Sometimes even higher than that, in the $700,000 range. And there's stuff that needs to be tweaked from the factory. That's just how stuff works, especially in the RV market. But yeah, look at that table bracket. I am very pleased with that setup. Very happy with that. I should probably incorporate that into more of our builds. Very nice. Very nice. We're not the only one doing a bracket like that, but, you know, I'm going to give Nate a pat on the back. He did a good job. Good job making that sucker up. Anyway, yeah, give myself a pat on the back for the design, too. Good job, us. All right, guys, thanks for watching. That's this build, and we will catch you on the next one. Cheers.